think I was 13 when I broke my femur, and my dad said, "Yeah, we ain't doing that anymore. We're gonna do something else." These big stock cars, you can't overdrive them, so you gotta be disciplined, and you just gotta take what the car gives you. You can't take more. I'm not a road racer. Like I'm a short track racer pretty much, because I've done a lot more short track than road race. But I've always particularly enjoyed the road racing.
Welcome to the Pit Crew podcast. Forget this. Episode number 19. Today we got a special guest coming on here in a moment. It's going to be Alex Labbé. He just came off of a 14th place finish at the Charlotte Roval. We got Cameron back on here. Cameron, it's your 4th episode. How you feeling, buddy? These things are getting easier.
Yeah, it's getting easier as we get through them. Earlier before we went live, I was just like, oh, is this my 3rd or 4th episode? I'm already losing track.
It gets easier as we go, but man, 19 episodes in. I appreciate you guys for tuning in week in and week out. Our last episode was our most popular. We just hit almost 110,000 views on it, so that's amazing. Looking forward to that, but with everything said, I think we should go ahead and bring on our guest, Alex Labbé. How do you feel about that, Cameron?
Let's bring him in.
Let's get it. Alex Labbé, how you feeling, buddy? You're on the Pit Crew podcast.
Hey, doing pretty good. About you guys?
Doing well, man. We love having you, man. DGM, them guys loved you so much, and it was so great getting to be at the track with you this past weekend at Charlotte for the Roval. So let's start off. Obviously, you're Canadian, which I would imagine a lot of our fans know that, but where are you from, and how did you get your start in motorsports?
I'm from Victoriaville, Quebec, Canada. So yeah, I was raised speaking French. I had to learn English at a pretty young age, and I've learned English a lot through racing, so that helped me quite a bit. And I just started racing go-karts when I was a kid. Probably started racing go-karts when I was 6, 7 years old, and just moved my way up the ranks, and always kept chasing the dream. So yeah, we went from go-karts to I did a little bit of four-wheeler racing. I raced on ice in the winter a little bit too, and then we transitioned to stock cars, late models, then the NASCAR, the Canada Series. Then we won the championship in 17. Then in 18, I moved in the Xfinity Series with DGM Racing, and I've been going back and forth here in Canada and in the States for the last couple of years.
So obviously, when you won the championship in 2017 in the NASCAR Canadian Series, how did that feel? That's such a big deal, especially being a Canadian driver. You won a championship in the top stock car division in your country. That must have felt pretty big getting that done.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it was the main goal for the last 3 or 4 years. We were trying to go full time. My first year full time in that series was in 16. And we had a pretty decent year, a couple of wins, and had a lot of speed, but just couldn't get the championship. So to finally get the championship in our second year, it was huge. We had been trying to run that series full time and trying to chase that championship for a while. So it felt great, and it was fun to have Mario Gazin as my crew chief down there helping me, and he was definitely a huge help. I couldn't have done it without him, for sure.
So that goes into my next question. So how did you get hooked up with Mario Gazin and begin that relationship over there with him being your crew chief when you were racing for Go Fast at the time, I believe it was?
Yep. No, yeah, we date a long ways back. I mean, Mario was he's been helping me pretty much since I started racing stock cars, probably like early 2009, 2010. My dad was friend with his brother and him a little bit through the car business. We had a scrap yard. I was raised in a scrap yard, and my dad was dealing a lot of used cars and salvage cars in Florida with especially with his brother. So that's how the relation started. And whenever we moved to the stock car racing, I think 2008, 9, 10, something like that, we bought some stuff from him, and we drove our car to Florida during the winter to get it refreshed, serviced, and updated, I guess, by Mario and DGM Racing, and that's how our relationship started. And we started working together on the phone from distance whenever I had questions, either about driving or set upping the cars. He was always there to help me. So it's pretty special that later down the road we won a championship together, and we've been running some Xfinity races over 10, 12 years later.
That's so cool. I mean, so I've been told a little story from Mario and all the guys over at DGM. So apparently there was some type of deal, and I want to know more about this, where if you got the championship, Mario would have put you into a NASCAR Xfinity car. That's the rumor. That's what I heard. I'd like to know more about that and how the crew chief potentially put you into a full-time Xfinity ride after winning that championship.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was the deal with our sponsor with Can-Am, and if we won a championship, we were gonna move to the Xfinity series, that's what we did. We had a crazy year in 17, bunch of wins and a lot of consistency. We were a threat for the win every weekend. We finished in the top five for all the races except one. It was pretty it was pretty insane. And yeah, we both. I mean, like I said, I couldn't have done it without Mario. I had a pretty good year a really good year as a driver. Like I said, being consistent, but we had some really good race cars, and we both were able to pull it together.
That's so cool. I mean, it's crazy because that's like the dream of being a NASCAR driver is climbing up through the ranks and making the right connections and finding your way to the Xfinity Series. And I mean, it's so cool to see how this career really have unfolded. And walk us a little bit about your relationship with DGM Racing, because although you're not full-time there, they're still putting you in cars, and they put you in this last weekend at Charlotte, which you absolutely killed that run with that position number 14. So how's your relationship with DGM Racing today?
I mean, it's definitely really good. I mean, we talk a lot with everybody in the team. We stay in touch, and I always speak with Mario at least once or twice a week, even if I don't race, in their cars. Like my last race with them was over a year ago, but I mean Mario just he's a friend. He's always been a mentor too. So now we definitely got a fun relationship, and it's always fun to come back and run a race car for them and trying to go chase some good results. And like even for the Roval, we have been saying all year that I was going to run that race because the Roval's always been a special track for us. The first year that NASCAR went to the Roval was in 2018, and we showed up there and we qualified fourth, I think, and almost had the pole in the first round. We were we were really a threat for we've always like overachieved at that track. So that's why we decided this year to go back on for another effort. And because we felt like last year we tagged the wall a little bit and bent the rear end, and so we gave up a bunch of position late in the race, but we were in the top five position in the middle of part of the race. So it's always been a place where we feel we can achieve something special and go get DGM's best result ever. So that's why we got back last week and try to do that.
That's what I was told. I was told that they wanted Alex in the car for that race because they know you can get it done on the Roval. And I believe you qualified 19th and finished 14th. Can you walk me a little bit throughout the day? I know there's a little bit of contact, and you're hard charging through the field, got shuffled back, worked your way back up to the front at the end, and, that final pit stop shuffled everything up. So can you walk me through the day at Charlotte?
No, for sure. It was a good day. I mean, it's that new layout, I feel like definitely gave us some challenges. We were lacking a little bit on that new airpin they put on, like to merge back on the oval, just chasing the drive off all day, and that's where I felt like we gave up a little bit too much time, and the way our car was set up, we couldn't really change anything to go around it, so we were kind of stuck in a box a little bit, but I felt like we made the car better and better all day, and we had the best car we had all day there on that last stint, and just had a little bit of a setback mid race. We got spun on just after a restart in the second stage, and we lost all the track position. And track position was so important. It was really hard to pass the good cars. I mean, like we're not. I'm not gonna lie. We were racing around like really really good equipment. So whenever we can race there, it's always fun. And it's always rewarding for us to compete with them. But at the same time, they're sometimes we can be a little bit quicker than them, but to go around them, it's always tougher because they got really good motors and all that. So, but like I said, because we like that spin in the mid stage in the second stage just cost us a lot, because I feel like if we could have kept the track position, the result would have definitely been a little bit better at the end.
either way, you still brought it home with a good finish, and top 15 can't go wrong with that. So, what advice would you give a young Alex Labbé who is wanting to break their way into NASCAR? He may be a Canadian driver and that wants to follow in your footsteps and get to the position that you got to and win a Canadian championship, which is the biggest stock car division in their country, and potentially break into the NASCAR Xfinity Series like you did.
No, for sure. Just never give up. That's pretty easy to say, but just always believe in yourself. And it's a cruel sport. I'm not gonna lie. Like racing is it's pretty tough. I mean, you gotta have you gotta have the talent for sure just to make it. You gotta have the speed, but it's gotta be you gotta have the complete package too. You gotta be able to sell yourself. You gotta be a pretty good salesman to be to be a race car driver because those sponsors on the car are really important. That's what builds speed. More money you can have in a race program, the more flexibility the race team has, and the more access it's got to the good equipment. So I'm not gonna lie, it's definitely a complete package, and you just gotta believe in. You got to put the work in. Sometimes it's even if you don't like to. If you want to, like, I feel like that was definitely one of the things I like the most. I love racing. I love working on the cars. I love making the cars better. But just being able to sell yourself and just understand that at a young age is really important if you want to make it far in the sport.
Extremely. My last question before I pass you over to Cameron here in a moment. So this past weekend at Charlotte, you had your wife, your child at the track. How has it been bringing your family to the races? Because I would imagine you wasn't able to do that years and years and years ago, but now that you got your child there and your whole family, I imagine that means a lot to you. How was that having your family at the track this past weekend at Charlotte?
Definitely means a lot. It changes my optic of racing. It just changes everything. It's fun to have them with me and to see to have my family and my children being able. I mean, there's actually my girl Adele. She's still really young. I mean, she's probably not going to remember, but just to have her there and have pictures and have souvenirs of all this stuff, it's undescribable for sure. It's something I never thought of. I mean, it's hard to compare. I mean, I've won some races. We've had some really good moments in racing, but just to have her see her grow and see her smile and see her have a good time, and even it was fun. Even with all the group, all the DGM group, it's like we're all like a big family, and we had a really good time there over the weekend. It was yeah, I can't wait to do it again.
It definitely felt like family having you at the track, just seeing the connection you had with Mario and having your family there. It was definitely a very different change and really cool environment. I could tell that you had such a good relationship with everyone over there, whether if that's Mario or Michelle or his daughters or the pit crew or Gary or whoever that may be. But I'm going to pass you over to Cameron Romano and see what question he has for you here.
Yeah. So my first question, you've raced in the Canadian series, and you've also raced in the Xfinity series. Are there any similarities or differences in the cars between the divisions?
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's yeah. There's a lot. I said that the biggest. I mean, the horsepower definitely. The horsepower is definitely big. There's a big difference there, but the tire is way different. How the car reacts on the tire. That's definitely got to be a big adaptation. It definitely helped me a lot coming through the Canadian series because we run a couple of road races a year, and we see now Xfinity's got a bunch of races. It's got a bunch of road courses on their schedule. So, but it's definitely like and like the level of competitive, like it's really competitive on the road courses in Canada, even on the old. I mean, there's really good short track racers, but there's some really talented road racers. So I feel like it helped me a lot get up to speed and just get all the experience and learn a lot from these guys growing up. So it's there's definitely some similarities, but there's definitely stuff that's a little different. But both cars are it's just a race car, so you're just trying to go as fast as possible with what you got in your hands, and that's always a challenge.
Of course, of course. When you are racing in the Xfinity series, what does a typical Friday or Saturday look like before the race starts?
It's always, I mean, I feel like hydration and just always trying to control the fluid you get in, and just trying to eat as good, as lean as possible. Because I mean, this weekend wasn't too bad because the heat. I mean, it was pretty hot, but it was not stupid hot. Like we got some races where it gets really humid and really hot. So you really gotta hydrate, and you gotta eat well, and your body's got to be ready because it goes through a lot. I mean, we're in these race cars for 2 hours, 2.5 hours. So you want to be sharp. You don't want to lose your focus over anything silly. So you want to get in there and strap in as prepared as possible.
Of course. Uh, Hydration, obviously important.
Yep.
My next question, um, do you have any other plans lined up for the rest of this year? I know the NASCAR season is winding down. We only have about a few more races left. Um, do we have any, do you have any plans to race for the rest of this year? Or do we have any plans for racing next year?
Not really. I mean, no, I've got some talks for later in the year, but nothing set in stone. But same thing for next year. I mean, we're there's, especially at this time of the year, there's always a lot of talks, and there's always some people looking for drivers, looking for this, looking for that. But we got nothing sealed, nothing done, and I think my schedule is probably going to look a little bit like this year. Run some stuff in Canada, and run some stuff in the Xfinity series also, and maybe a little bit of late models. But I don't know. I'd love to know, but unfortunately it's a little too early for me to know what's really going to happen next year. But yeah, I hope I can be present in the Xfinity series as much as possible.
Gotcha. Um, that's all that I have on my end. I'm gonna pass it back to DLB, and if I have anything, I'll let you guys know.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
So, my next question is sim work. Obviously, iRacing is such a big tool. Do you get to do any type of sim work, whether if that's with Chevy or iRacing, and do you feel like any of that has been helpful and has been able to translate to on-track performance?
For sure. I mean, iRacing helped me a lot through the years. Just getting to racetrack for the first time. I don't have the luxury to go on the sim, on the Chev sim and stuff like that. And I mean, it would be kind of tough because I'm living in Canada, so I'm living in Quebec, Canada. So I'm definitely not close. I've never relocated in North Carolina, so it would have been pretty tough. But definitely iRacing. I mean, I feel like I got a decent sim setup at my house, and it's definitely helped me get up to speed on those new tracks. And I mean, especially on road courses, but even oval, like for my first couple, my first year for sure, in 18 and in 19 a little bit too, and just getting to new tracks for the first time, and just having good references, and just not going out there blind and not really know what to expect is huge. And iRacing does a really good job, like scanning tracks and making sure I mean, the tracks are 99.9% accurate. So it's definitely a big help.
Absolutely. I mean, we all love iRacing. That's what we're all addicted to. It is such a good tool. So that leads me into my next question is, you said you're still living in Canada. Did you feel like that was challenging at all back when you were full-time in the Xfinity series to always go from Canada to whatever state we were racing in versus just making the move over to North Carolina like most drivers have done in the past and continue to do?
For sure. I mean, it's definitely not ideal, but it was just the way it was with family and everything. And my race team DGM was, when I was driving for them, they were 100% based in Florida. Now they got a location in Mooresville, so it's a little bit different. But when I used to drive for DGM, they didn't have a shop in Mooresville, so it would not have made a lot of sense to move to North Carolina or even to Florida. But I spent a lot of time in Florida with DGM, all or whenever I was running, especially like earlier in the year, first 3, 4, 5 races. I always flew down there and stayed there for like a month and a half, 2 months, and spend time with the team, and just in the shop, and just getting everything rolling beginning of the year. I tried to go back a couple times during the summer, but it's there was definitely a challenge. I mean, customs first and security and all that stuff. Whenever you're flying commercial, always makes it a little bit tougher, and it takes a toll on you, especially when you go there back and forth every week. It's but I'd say like I mean I know there's like 85% of the people are all flying charter in the NASCAR industry, but there's still guys a little bit of people like flying commercial. But adding the customs deal over it, and it's always a little complicated when you're Canadian too. When you're I'm kind of going to work in parentheses when I'm going to the States, so it always makes it a challenge. But always worked out pretty good. But I definitely had a couple stress moment there, going trying to go through, and it would just get in a little room and just couldn't go by, and just thinking I'm gonna miss my plane and I'm not gonna be there for practice and qualifying or stuff like that. It always make it definitely made it a little bit more challenging.
Oh, it's so stressful for them flights because it seems like they're every week, and it's you always feel like you
Yeah.
gotta be somewhere, which is tough. So funny story at Charlotte is you and Mario was over there talking, and both you guys were speaking French. I did not know that Mario knew French. Obviously, he was born in Canada as well. Is French your first language, or was it English? Because you speak very perfect English.
Yeah, no, French definitely my first language. Yeah, I've learned English when I was younger, so it helped me a lot. It's a lot easier to learn when you're young, and I went to I mean I went racing a lot when I was younger, and I went to study in Ohio too for 2 years. So it definitely helped me perfect my English. But yeah, I mean, even Mario speaks even like way better English than I do because he's been living in Florida. He's got a family. He's definitely like fully immersed down there, and I think he moved at what, 8 or 9 years old. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's crazy because even his French is close to perfect. So he's definitely a fully bilingual.
Absolutely. So, for the fans curious, what does a day by day look for Alex Labbé? Obviously, you're still heavily involved in racing. You got a family. You got a lot going on in your personal life with that, and seems like you're just living the life right now. It seems like you have it all. So, what does a day by day look like currently for Alex Labbé?
I'd say like this summer we're definitely pretty busy because, like I said, I was running the Canadian series and it was my own team, and I was pretty much the driver, crew chief, car chief, all of it. So just really busy in the shop, and it was pretty much nonstop. I had my life looked a lot like Mario, just nonstop work, and I just trying to have the ends meet. And but right now I mean, season's over, so my family we own a RV dealership, so that's what we do. We sell motorhomes, and now we're getting ready for winter, so it's just time to winterize all these units and get everything rolling and get our customers units right,
That
away for winter, so stuff like that. But it's I feel like it's definitely it's good to just to relax a little bit more this time of the year because these summers when you go racing you don't see time go by. It's crazy. It's and you're so passionate about it too. You don't really realize what all the stuff you neglect, and you're just trying to build some race cars and make them go as fast as possible, and that's what is important. But at this time of the year, you can at least slow down a little bit and spend quality time with family.
Absolutely, we got the holidays coming up. That's wonderful. The RVs, that's news to me. Tell me a little bit about that. When did you get into that, and how did that really take off?
Yeah, we like I said earlier, my growing up, my family we had a scrapyard. We were doing salvage cars and selling used parts and stuff like that. And probably I think it was 2008 whenever my dad bought the RV business, and we've been yep, we like I mean I was too young back then to work in it, but we've been in the RV industry for the last 15, 16 years, and I always try to work a little bit there, but I like realistically like during the summer I don't really they can't really rely on me with all the racing that's going on. I'm really busy running stuff and getting race cars and running after parts left and right. So, but yeah, it's fun. It's a really it's definitely like it's a different atmosphere than what my dad used to do before in scrap yards, and just dealing mostly with retired people and just trying to make them realize their dream, their lifelong dream, and having an RV, and trying to make sure that all the dots are written down, and just to make sure that they're having the best time possible.
Absolutely. So, what do you feel like makes you so good on the road courses? Because I would consider you a road course veteran. Obviously, that's why DGM brings you in. Go knock down these top 10s, top 5s, and contend for wins. Because it seems like you do got a road background, but it's not your normal road course ringer background, because it's still almost strictly a stock car background. What do you feel like makes you so good on the road courses and makes you such a road course veteran?
Like I said earlier, for sure, like the NASCAR, the Canada Series definitely helped me. I race. I mean, I grew up racing go karts when I was a kid, and did pretty good doing that. And I always enjoyed road racing, and I always continued practicing it, like on iRacing, and I just always loved. I mean, I'm like I'm not a road racer. Like I'm a short track racer pretty much, because I've done a lot more short track and road race. But I've always like particularly enjoyed just the road racing, and just the precision, and all the technical aspects behind it. I always had a really good time doing it, and I've always kept practicing at it. I feel like I said, racing helped me quite a bit. My karting background, like it definitely helped. I raced four wheelers. The same thing. It was all like it was road racing like that too, but it just always fit in my driving style. I feel like I always been a pretty smooth driver, pretty not over aggressive, just more calculate. And I think it's pretty important whenever you drive these big stock cars. You can't overdrive them, so you gotta be disciplined, and you just gotta take what the car gives you. You can't take more than that.
Racing four wheelers sounds wild. I don't know how common that is in Canada, but that sounds nuts. I mean, tell me a little bit about that. What age did you begin that at?
It was in between karting and stock cars. I think I was probably 12, 11, 12 when I started. But like I said, I race mostly more. I race mostly during winters. I raced a little. Like I tried to race one season in the summer, but I broke my leg. I broke my femur. So that's how my racing careers, my four wheeler racing careers ended. It was pretty short lived. It probably lasted like 3 4 months. And yeah, whenever I think I was 13 when I broke my femur, and my dad said, "Yeah, we ain't doing that anymore. We're gonna do something else. We're gonna put you in a stock car where you got a roll cage, and where we can we we're gonna make sure you're gonna stay alive for a couple of years at least." Because I mean, stock cars, you got your risk when you're racing stock cars, but when you're racing dirt bikes and four wheelers and jumping 75, 80 feet jumps and stuff like that. A lot of crazy stuff can happen, and it can happen really quick. So that's why we we moved away from four wheeler racing a little bit.
I think you made the right call. I don't know if Alex will be able to be here if you didn't make that call. That sounds so dangerous. My goodness.
Yeah,
But
yeah, no doubt. I really enjoyed that. I mean, I had a lot of fun. I had some good friends doing it, and I was, like I said, I was pretty good at it. I went up the ranks really, really quick, but it's just a really good adrenaline. But it's definitely the smart way to do is let's go back and race cars. Well, way safer.
it's nuts. I'm glad the stock
I'll
cars
probably do
worked
the
out.
same thing with my kids when I'm gonna when I'm gonna grow up. I'm sure.
Well, I'm glad stock car racing worked out for you, and we could keep you away from the four wheelers. I mean, I also had a four wheeler accident when I was younger, and kind of tore all the ligaments out of my leg, and decided to kind of dial it back on four wheelers. Now, I wasn't racing them, so definitely a little bit different. I couldn't imagine racing them.
Yeah, no, they're fun. They're definitely, it's just a different. I mean, even on the starts, I mean, you're 25 wide, and it's all the big funnel going to the first corner. It's a different animal. Yep.
Sounds like dirt bites, but I'm going to pass you back to Cameron here for his final questions.
Yeah. I think we all have one thing in common here. We both had some sort of incident with a four-wheeler when we were younger. Um, my next question, besides running Xfinity and the Canadian Series, do you have any interest in possibly running the Cup Series or possibly ARCA or even branching off into other divisions like IMSA or IndyCar or even going as far as I don't know, maybe the Wheel and Euro Series or the Brazil Series?
Yeah, I'm definitely like I've definitely had some talks like for the Will and Euro series and stuff like that. I'm definitely I'm definitely always open. It's just it's a big transition. It's just something out of the box a little bit when like IMSA and it's definitely something I would love to try like if I had the right opportunity. But yeah, I've always been in stock cars pretty much. That's pretty much the world I know, and the most of the opportunities I got are definitely in the stock car world. But it definitely be a really good trail and just something pretty cool to try. The only time I've driven sport cars is on iRacing, so I'd definitely love to drive these things in real life.
Right. I have one last question before we cap off the show. If there's anybody that you could race with now at any track, you get a 5 lap shootout, who would it be and why?
That's a good question. Probably like Jill Villeneuve. Yeah, he's definitely the one that I grew up looking over at, and I feel like he's definitely made motorsport what it is in Canada because he's definitely the guy that put Canadian motorsport on the map, and just the guy was just pure racer, race snowmobile, he raced open wheel cars, and he's always flat out and just different breed, and he'd definitely be a guy that I'd love to be around him just to see really what he was really like. But unfortunately, he died more than 10 years before I was born. But he was definitely like all the stuff. Like I don't read a lot of books, but I've read his book and I read a lot of stuff about him. He'd definitely be a guy that I really like to race against.
All right. All right. I think on that note, I'm going to pass it back to DLB. DLB, take it away.
Absolutely. I mean, Villeneuve was such a legendary driver. I mean, I remember back in my day, Jacques Villeneuve was so good at
Yep.
Montreal when NASCAR ran there. Would you like to see NASCAR return to Montreal?
Oh, for sure. I'd love to. Yeah, it'd be great for us drivers and just in, around NASCAR in Canada. It'd be huge. Just it was such a great event there. It's such I mean I don't feel like there's any other places where you can host a race like they can host it in Montreal, right in downtown, like on an island in downtown Montreal, or it's a permanent racetrack like that. It's definitely it's I feel like we definitely got to find a way to, and I know there's a lot of talk about it, and they definitely got to find a way to get Montreal his date back because I never missed an edition. The last year NASCAR went there, I raced there in the NASCAR. It was Canadian Series back then, the Canadian Tire Series back then, and that was 2012. So that was my first year racing part time in that series, and it was just so special to go there and to race in front of those huge crowd and being able to race on that track is it's definitely an honor for anybody that races here in Canada.
We definitely need to get NASCAR back in Canada. They have such a large fan base, whether when they were truck racing at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park or
Yep.
Xfinity Racing at Montreal. The fans are nuts in Canada. Some of the biggest
Yep.
NASCAR fans are over there. Do you ever plan on
Yep.
potentially returning to the NASCAR Canadian Tire Series if the right opportunity came to you, since you were so good and won a championship there and were so dominant in that division during your time?
Yeah, for sure. Like this year, we ran I think 7 or 8 races. We ran quite a bit. I haven't run full time since that 2017 season, but no, for sure, you definitely need the right opportunity because there's less races, but it's still a lot of work just to make it right. Just try to go racing and try to go race for a championship. you gotta have the right ingredient, you gotta have the right people. So it definitely, I mean, it would definitely be an option for me to come back if I got a good structure around me and try to go chase another championship.
So you raced at some of the most iconic tracks, whether it's Daytona, Indy, Montreal. Do you have a favorite track or a track that you feel like is your hands down your best track?
I feel like the place where I feel like, I mean, my favorite track is probably Bristol. It's just such a unique place. It's so intense, and I don't think there's anything that can compare to it. It's a place where my first year racing, 2018. I think it was the fifth race of the year. We finished, I think, 11 or 12 there. It was, and we caught everyone by surprise with DGM racing because we had a really incredible day, and just that track's always been one of my best track where we feel like we definitely got a we definitely have a shot to punch higher than our than like if we just can overachieve there because that's basically what I've been raised on, and it's, I mean, this track is so intense. It's crazy. It's sometimes it's hard to remember, like especially the first couple of laps you do there, you got a hard time remembering if you're in corner one or corner three whenever you dive in the corner because everything happens so quick and even during the race the groove changes so much. Sometimes you're right against the wall, you're in the middle of the track, you're right on the air apron, and it's just a really unique track, and it's definitely my favorite track on the circuit.
You know, it's crazy. I asked Michelle the same thing. She also said Bristol. So when I went to Bristol to film, I've noticed you leave that place with your ears ringing, even with the headset on or not. It is so freaking loud in the center of
Yeah, it's
that
crazy.
dome because it just echoes. It's a wild place to
Yeah,
be at. It is a wild place
yeah,
to be at. I mean, I recommend
no doubt.
for
Yeah,
any fans that has never been to a race, go to Bristol. The Bristol night race specifically, I feel like that's such a
yeah,
good one. But my final
for
question
sure. Yeah,
here
yep.
is so when did you know that you can make this a career and you're going to be successful at it and that this is all going to work out? Was there a moment where that just set in for you, or was it just always feeling like you're
Uh,
fighting your way to the top and then before you know it you got a NASCAR championship?
yeah, no, I'd say probably like 2014, 13, 14, something like that. 13, 14 probably. We started winning some big late model race and super late model race and stuff like that, and I felt like, I don't know, I felt like I was it. Wow, I felt like we could do something special and just we kept being competitive. But like I said earlier, it's a lot more than just being a good race car driver. You got to surround yourself with good people that and then so you can have the funds to go further because I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it costs a lot if you want to make it into racing, and if you want to be competitive, you gotta have the right equipment, and it's pretty tough to sit in the right equipment without having some kind of background behind you and money behind you. So I was pretty fortunate to have people that believe in me and at a pretty young age and just push me up, and it's pretty cool to have that. And I think it's probably 2014, maybe more 14 and 15. That's pretty like just before I started racing full time in the Canada series. That's when I realized that I might be able to do a racing career out of it.
So cool that it all worked out, and I really hope we can see you and your amazing family at the track here again in 2025. And I feel like we can go snag one of them road course wins. I think we can definitely do it, and I really hope we see you come back. Is there anyone you'd like a shout out before we cap off episode number 19?
Just thanks to you guys for having me on the show, DGM Racing. Everybody that's, I mean, I've driven for three different teams this year. I've driven for SS Green Light, for Joe Gaze Motorsport. Just everybody that giving me a shot and just trying to keep me out there, keep me relevant, and keep me in the seat, and trying to accomplish some great things.
I think there's a lot of great things to come here in the future. Well, we appreciate you for coming on today, Alex, and Always fun having you. DGM loves you. The DGM fan base loves you. And we appreciate you for coming on for episode number 19 of the Pit Crew podcast.
Thanks, guys, for having me on.
So, Cameron, that was Alex Labbé. That was a fun episode, wasn't it?
Yeah. I didn't think that in 2024 I would be talking with a NASCAR champion.
Well, there you go. That's how it went. Well, before we cap off the episode, we're going to give away a little bit of Kyle Weatherman merch. So let's go ahead and give that t-shirt away.
Absolutely. You could win this amazing t-shirt from DriveSmart.
So what we're going to do is we're going to do a random draw here. All you got to do is type something in the chat, and we're going to spin a wheel and see who's going to get it. And the winner is going to be Sam. So, Sam, you have won a Kyle Weatherman t-shirt. All you got to do, go hit up Go DriveSmart over on Twitter, over on X. They'll get back to you. Shoot them a DM, shoot them a tweet, tell them that you won, and we're going to get that shirt shipped right out to you. Well, I say we go ahead and cap it off. Episode number 19. I appreciate all you guys for tuning in to the Pit Crew podcast. We'll be back next Wednesday night at 8 p.m., and we'll catch you in the next one.